Hello there, fellow NPCs. I am Scythe, and today we're getting back into Everlasting Summer. I haven't played this for a couple of weeks now, because as you all know, I have been to Spain, and I had a lot of fun there. I'm still considering just how I'm supposed to put that entire thing together, so I can share with you how it all went down. But yeah, I had to rewatch the entire last episode, because I did not quite remember where I was at. But now, let's start day 7 and see exactly what happens with Lena, shall we? Let's go. Day 7. The Lena path. And yeah, this is it's supposed to be the good ending, because we did score more than 9 points. Helping Alyssa gave us that 9th, or was it the 10th point? But yeah, somehow I woke up in my apartment. I didn't trigger any emotions at all. Yet another day of my life. That's all. I got out of the bed and went up to the computer. A message window flashed on the taskbar. I sat down and stared at the monitor. Somebody wrote to me, and that means that somebody still needs me. Okay, that's a strange way of seeing things. A message contained only 2 words. Wake up. What do they want from me? Yeah, okay, so am I stuck in a nightmare situation right now? Because of the music? An unknown ID. Is that spam? And what does it mean? Wake up. I'm not sleeping anymore. The window still kept flashing. I tried to close it but failed. Instead, yet another one popped out. Another one, and another one. And all of them contained the same wake up. What the hell do you want from me? I screamed. Soon the whole screen was blazing with identical messages. Okay! I couldn't bear it anymore, grabbed it and smashed it against the wall with all my strength. Jesus, someone is really eager to get to me here. A phone rang. Strange. Who could that be? I picked up the phone and heard just, wake up. On the other end, thousands of voices, men, women, children, were screaming, wake up! I smashed the phone on the floor, but it didn't break and kept ringing. Well, that's terrifying. In a moment, the whole room was filled with strangers. They were grabbing my hands, peering into my eyes and screaming, wake up! And we're back here. I jumped off my bed in a cold sweat. Are you telling me that the reality was the dream in this case? I don't remember. Interesting. Oh yeah, maybe. Now that I think about it, maybe. What a dream. I came to my senses in a couple of minutes and took a look at the clock. It's 5 p.m. How long have I slept? All the events of yesterday flew through my head. Searching for Lena, the devastating conversation, Alyssa defeated. I really have to talk to her. Maybe she cooled down overnight. I dressed up, went out of the cabin, hesitated a little while gathering my thoughts, then headed to Lena's cabin. What shall I say? How do I begin the conversation? I can't just go with, hi, how are you? I was just passing by. There's no way I should lecture her straight off the bat. Not reaching a specific solution, I knocked. Nobody answered. I knocked again and then pulled on the doorknob. It's not locked. That's odd. However, there was nobody inside. Yeah, I thought it would be completely empty though. Well, that means Lena's not here. I'll grab some food. I might find her in the canteen. So nothing spooky right away. Not right now. Going along the rows of cabins, I didn't meet a single pioneer. That's odd too. It's always crowded here at this time of day. Nobody was at the square either. What the hell? Okay, this is not right. Coming up to the canteen, I started to get seriously concerned. It's time for dinner, but there's no sign of the hungry pioneer crowds. If only it was just that. The canteen was closed. So they left without him. But why was Lena's and Miku's stuff still in the cabin? Looks like something has happened during the day. I sat down on the porch and started to consider the situation. All the pioneers were gone, without any warning. Well, of course, it's hard to say that this camp or my way of arriving here is normal, but I hadn't encountered any completely inexplicable stuff during this week yet. There was a lot of strange things, but maybe they're hiding in that bunker. I chuckled aloud. While all of this is very, to put it mildly, mysterious, I was nowhere near experiencing a panic attack. No, it's just that they have left. Okay, so everyone left except for Lena for some reason. I almost jumped out of my skin. Lena was standing next to me. You can't just sneak up on people like that. You nearly gave me a heart attack. Sorry, she said calmly. Now her words dawned on me. Left. Hold on a second. What do you mean by just left? The session's over. And the camp leader? She had some business to take care of in the town, so she went with them. Okay. What about you? I stayed. Lena was talking with complete calmness, as if everything that has happened is completely normal and routine. How? Why is that? What's the problem? When the session is over, the children depart for their homes, don't they? And when was it decided that today is the last day of the session? You won't believe this, but on the very first day. Moreover, Olga Dmitrievna announced this at the lineup. Yeah, even at those lineups that I attended, the last thing that crossed my mind was listening to the camp leader's announcements. Well, that's honestly your fault in them. That is on you, my guy. Then why didn't anyone tell me about anything? I waited for a chance to get out of this damn camp for so long, and when it finally appeared, I obviously slept through it. Well, that's exactly my style. I asked them not to. Okay! No, this is not okay. Even if you would ask not to, Olga... Hold on, what? I asked for it, said Lena with the same confidence. And what, you asked them to leave me behind too? Yes. And you don't think that's a little, absolutely wrong? I started shouting. Nope, it's perfectly normal. I took a good look at Lena. Not a single emotion has crossed her face since the beginning of our talk. It looks like the girl that's standing right in front of me now is not the kind of girl that's afraid of crickets, blushes at every occasion and reads romance novels. Okay, I got it. Looks like this situation is directly connected to the mystical arrival at this camp. Just who are you? Me? This morning I was Lena. She replied patiently. Oh yeah, and I'm Optimus Prime, born 9 million years ago in the Highlands of Scotland. That's the Highlander. Optimus Prime is a different dude, but yeah. Funny. I wasn't afraid of her or anything around myself that moment. I was just bursting with anger from within. Nice to meet you. I'm Lena. Okay, now let's get serious. I think that what you're saying is frankly impossible. Today, as it turns out, is the last day. Somehow, I don't know anything about it, and the camp leader departs with everyone, leaving me behind just because you asked for it. Don't you find that all somewhat abnormal? Maybe I do. Are you hiding something? Maybe I am. Then spit out everything you got! I told you already. I buried my face with my hands and took a deep breath. Okay, and what am I supposed to do in this situation? I don't know. And what are you going to do? I don't know. I'll go with the flow. Well, here's the flow. I hissed, abruptly spreading my hands. Psst. I don't... what is this? Ta-ta! I don't know. Why are you worrying so much? For the first time, a flicker of interest has appeared on her face. And how do you expect me to feel? Glad? Well, not really, but you yourself wanted it. Me? You're mad! And who said yesterday that he cares and that he wants to be with me? What's that got to do with this? I pretended not to understand, but it was finally starting to dawn on me what she was driving at. Your wish was granted. Yeah, sure, I mumbled under my breath. Well, here I am with you. That doesn't explain in any way what happened. There's always a couple of tricks that could help one succeed. And you... that is how... Yes. A smile crossed her face. If I'd known that you're so cunning from the very beginning... To tell the truth, I kind of liked this whole situation. Well, not really liked, but I was curious. Of course, I'm very sorry that I couldn't have escaped with everyone else. However, I'm having a tete-a-tete with Lena now. Tete-a-tete. I did say that in the horror game The Letter. Tete-a-tete. But that was because I was imitating someone else. Tete-a-tete, I think it's actually pronounced. French, you know. French and Irish don't trust the letters. That might mean that I'll get a chance to see the real her. And all the answers that I was longing for could be right here. Not in some mysterious town with everyone else has headed for. Which everyone else? Okay, so what are we going to do now? We? She smiled. Yeah, we. We're the only ones staying here. The canteen's closed and I seriously doubt that there's any food left there anyway. Of course, Olga Dmitrievna should return in the foreseeable future, but... what does it matter? Okay, it doesn't matter. Any suggestions? What do you want? She asked with a sly smile. I would have grabbed something to eat. And then I don't know. Well, let's go and have something. Where to? There should be some food left in my cabin. Okay, deal. This is not sounding like the good ending. But neither did any of the other ones, honestly. We went in and Lena rummaged around in the desk drawer. Well, our cookies. Want some? She handed me a half-open pack of biscuits. Aw, how cute, I sneered. Why? Biscuits. Like in my childhood. I guess. She smiled and sat next to me. Well? I asked with my mouth full. What? So what are we going to do? I heard something, but I was talking as it happened. I don't know. She wistfully gazed out the window. But what do you want? Well, really, what do I want? A mere half an hour ago, my only thought was to get away from this damned camp. But now, right here, next to her, something seemed to change. Well, I don't know either. Think harder. She drew herself closer and gazed into my eyes. Oh yes, what could she possibly want from me right now? And I think we also said, well, I don't know if it was Semyon, but someone said that Alyssa and Lena was actually pretty similar. So yeah, I'm thinking that she wants something like that. Well, you know, my face was blushing, my mind was racing. Not just because I was in such extreme proximity to a girl that quite clearly wants something from me, but mainly because the girl was Lena. Well? She studied me closely. Lena, What? To say that she didn't look like herself was nothing. I was not afraid of this metamorphosis at all. Rather, I was afraid of myself. What I could do in such a situation. Didn't you want to be with me? She whispered into my ear, seductively. Yeah. I did. I do. Then what's the problem? It's also... Besides, I have some other circumstances. Yeah, like being twice your age. What circumstances? Yeah, I just mentioned them. She pulled away from me. Well, various circumstances. You don't prefer, do you? Lena laughed. Hell no, how could you think that? I'm guessing they were supposed to interject with, you don't prefer guys, or something like that. Looks like I blushed even harder. Then what's the problem? Are you sure that you want that? I tried hard to change the subject. After all, just a week ago I had my own normal life. A life where everything was strictly tied up and well organized, and where there was no place for girls. And now, I'm in some kind of mysterious scam with Lena sitting next to me and hinting towards something. How should I behave in such a situation? Yeah, here's the thing. I recently saw the anime Jobless Reincarnation, or whatever it's called. I don't remember the Japanese name. I will put a picture of it. But that's also a 30-year-old man that's being reincarnated into a different world as being reborn into a different fantasy world. And he keeps on living his life from infant, literally, into an adult in the season that recently ended, I believe. At the very least, a young adult. And everyone in the forums were saying that he's a creep, he's a pedo, and all these things like that. And in Semyon's case, I would agree. He is a fucking creep if he to be put in such a situation and go through with the things he's doing. But in that character, in Jobless Reincarnation, I do not agree. He is stuck in a different body. He's been stuck in it for 18 years at least. And he is aging at the same pace as everyone around him. So he can't really choose to not be with girls his age. Because the girls of his actual age, from before being reincarnated, is still gonna look at him as a kid, as being way too young for them. So either you sleep with those that are apparent to be of the parent age as yourself, or you go completely eunuch for the rest of your life. So in that anime, I don't think he is the predator, because he did wait for the girls to make the first move, even if he's a fucking creep throughout the series. But it's a secret for him. He can't tell anyone, so everyone thinks he's just a normal pervert. He's not a good guy, but he's not the villain. If that makes sense. How should I behave in such a situation? Yes. She frowned. Of course I do. What's the problem? Well, it's I was behaving like I wasn't even 17, which was how I looked now, as if I was much younger. Okay, strange sentence. Mine too. She smiled. I had to decide what to do next. Now, after the session was closed and all the pioneers were gone, I had to seek the answers. Above all, I just had to beware this girl that could change her behavior and even her character so easily at will. Yeah, she is very, very much everywhere in terms of personality. But at that exact moment, I was possessed by only one thought. Oh, what the hell? Well, if you don't mind. I closed my eyes. She said nothing, just smiled and moved even closer. Our lips locked in a long kiss. I forgot everything at that moment. I forgot about this weird camp. I forgot about the local pioneers that were in fact gone. I forgot about our wacky camp leader. I forgot about my past life and about my future, if it would ever come. Right now, the only one who mattered was Lena. Her soft lips, her warmth that poured deep into my soul, burning me from the inside. I gently moved her aside. Hold on. Do you think this is way too, fast? Why? She smiled and looked at me in such a way that I immediately felt ready to drown in her eyes. You're sure, aren't you? I am, I whispered quietly. Well, that's a lot of that's happening right away. That's a lot that's happening right away. And it's over. When I woke up, it was already dark outside. I got out of the bed, put on my trousers, and had a stroll around the room. What was that? Just an animal instinct, or maybe it was something more. No, it's all wrong, completely wrong. I'm stuck in this camp. I lost my chance to get out of here, and most of all, I'm with a girl who probably has a split personality and maniac depressive disorder. Maniac depressive disorder, I never heard of that. But now that he's saying it, I would think maybe a bipolar. I'm not too keen on that. I do know of a person who does have it. Bipolar, yeah. So maybe that, based on what they've been telling me. I looked at the sleeping Lena. Anyhow, she's marvelous. Everything that happened between us literally only a couple of hours ago flashed before my eyes, and I felt shivers up my spine. Nah, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but if I could have returned back in time, I would have done exactly the same thing. I smiled widely and sat down next to her on the bed. I had absolutely no desire to wake Lena up. It was an unspeakable pleasure, just watching how she sleeps. People say that the sleep reveals the true face of a person. I heard a legend that some ancient civilization had a custom. Before getting married, a woman watches her fiancé sleeping for 3 nights. Oh wait, I heard something similar, but that was in a different anime. And then she decides whether to marry him or not. Okay, in the anime I saw, which I don't remember, you share the bed with a person for 3 nights or 7 nights or something like that, and then that is the marriage. That is the marriage ceremony. Spending the night in someone's bed for a certain amount of nights means you're married. Anime, my man, anime. Bearing that in mind, I could confidently say that Lena's face showed nothing but goodness, kindness, and childlike naivete. Could this really be the girl that knocked Alyssa out yesterday? Well, whatever it may be, everything's already happened. And I've already seen Lena like that. The humility for the first few days, the hysterics back on there on the island, the rage at the square yesterday, her passion today. How can one single human cope with so many opposing personality traits? Might it be that the case that she really has a double, triple, even quadruple split personality? I don't know how much time I spent just watching Lena sleeping. It might have been a couple of minutes, or it might have been a couple of hours. Finally, she awakened. What? What the hell is this? Why did they clip her bathing suit on so weirdly? Now that I think of it, after spending the night with... Oh! I see! Now I remember. Yeah, Alyssa was in her bathing suit as well when she woke up. And now that I think about it, I thought it was weird that she woke up in her bathing suit. But there is a nude mod or something like that. So that makes her naked when she wakes up, I would assume. Yeah, okay. Still, really strange how they just clipped on parts of her bathing suit like this. This actually looks awful. Really weird. Good morning. Lena smiled tenderly. Come here. She rose and hugged me. I didn't resist and plopped down on the bed. You're so wonderful. She whispered in my ear, kissing my neck. You too. But my voice hesitated. Wanna do it again? She asked playfully. Hold on. I moved her away gently. No, all this is anything but simple. When we just met, you seemed to be one person. Then you seemed to be another one. And today... Now I can't understand at all who you really are. And yet again, what you did to Alyssa... Her again! Lena covered up with a blanket and turned away. Yeah, so she's supposed to be naked. Okay. Didn't you like what we did? Want to do it with her too? Now, I won't hold you back. Come on, compare us. I'll leave you her address. You can tell me who is better. Or we can have a threesome. She sounded like she wasn't talking about me or her. Oh. Like she was talking about complete strangers. She's not talking about her own parents, is she? About a bad divorce, I mean. Oh, there you go again. I sighed. Throughout today, you should have realized that the last person I would think about now would be Alyssa. What? Okay, I'm sorry, but this looks awful. After this video, I'm gonna get that nude mod. Because this is horrendous. Okay, you're right. She turned to me, smiled and hugged me tightly. Not that you can see what I'm going to be seeing, but it's really off-putting. Hold on. I still have to understand. Why? I can't just simply... And yes, I do care. That's why I really need to know who you really are. I'm just me, she answered in the same languid voice. My brakes started to break from all these emotions. I have to calm down somehow. I jumped to my feet and moved across to sit on the opposite bed. Fine. Lena said disappointedly and started to get dressed. I'm not asking for much. Just a few answers to a few questions. Later, it's time to depart. She interrupted me impassively. What? Where are we going? What do you mean where? Back to town, of course. But you told me... Well, I might have withheld something. In fact, I persuaded Olga Dmitrievna that we still had some extremely urgent matters here and will come later. How would we get to town then? By bus, of course. There are no buses here. I grinned. What do you mean no buses? Of course they are. Route 410. I didn't know whether I should believe it or not. The situation seemed to be going out of control. But I wouldn't argue. Okay. I managed cautiously. Come on, get packed. Meet me at the square in 10 minutes. Okay. I gave up asking and left the cabin. Frankly speaking, I had almost nothing to pack. I just tossed my winter clothing into a bag and headed to the square. Lena was already waiting for me there with a gym bag on her shoulders. You don't seem to carry a lot of baggage. It's just enough. She smiled. Let me carry it. Please do. Although her bag seemed almost weightless, a bit of chivalry never hurt anyone. We were walking, and Lena was constantly telling jokes, anecdotes, funny stories, and never stopped laughing. Now I really lost touch with the person next to me. Is she the one I met a week ago? Or the one I saw for the first time this morning? When we reached the bus stop, I took out my mobile phone and checked the time. Surprisingly, there was still some power left. It was almost 11 p.m. Almost midnight. Okay. Isn't it a bit late for buses? Oh, what is that? Asked Lena curiously. Oh, just a toy. Take it, it's a gift. Thank you. She smiled and took the phone. What can you play on it? You'll work it out yourself later. It's not that hard. Anyway, my mobile phone is totally useless here. We waited for about half an hour and Lena just kept talking and talking. Well, I must admit that I found her stories amusing and I felt comfortable with her, but what about the bus? So, what about... I didn't finish the sentence as I saw the glimmer of headlights in the distance. Ah, here it is, Lena exclaimed enthusiastically. The bus was slowly carrying us away from the Soviet pioneer camp. I just wanted to believe that we'd never ever go back. The darkness beyond the window prevented us from seeing the road, the woods, or the field. Actually, it might be the case that they're all long gone, and we're flying through a void towards the unknown. Anyway, I couldn't care less for the surroundings. I just kept listening to Lena. Perhaps she had said more words today than she had throughout her past life. You know, I interrupted her at last. I still don't understand. What exactly? She smiled. How come you could be so hesitant, so humble at first, unable to string two words together, and then, like this? Is it that important? Yes, for me it is. Well, she took a deep breath before answering. You see, I've always been the way you saw me the first time we met. I was like that in public. I wasn't able to live as I wanted to since childhood, so I put on a mask. She went silent. Although, let's not go too deep into that. Lena laughed and curled my arm, pressing her body tightly against me. Okay, I get it. It was probably very hard for her to discuss it indeed. Anyway, I got a lot even from such a short explanation. But still, can I be sure you won't turn into that one again? You won't retreat into your shell, won't surrender to your anger and rage? That depends on you. Lena smiled slyly. It was just now that I realized that I'm playing a high-stakes game. On the one hand, I've spent a week in this obscure world just trying to find some answers. I have nothing to my name and nowhere to return to, damn it. On the other hand, there's this girl who obviously matters so much to me. I almost didn't need to think about whether I had any feelings for Lena. I just wanted to be by her side, look at her, listen to her voice. I liked her the way she was. I assured myself that this is it. The real Lena is in front of me. And now, when these thoughts came back about my past life, my mysterious appearance in an 80s pioneers camp, it's just not the time for such thoughts. I feel good right now being close to her. I don't want to return anywhere. I don't want any answers. I don't want to think about what's going to happen tomorrow. If it's up to me, then I just want to believe that you'll always be the way you are now. For this is the way I love you. And I'll keep being this way as long as we're together. She hugged me even tighter. Okay, so this better be the good ending. It really should be, but I'm still saying it really needs to be the good ending. I don't know how long we've been on the road, but Lena's shadow gradually started to quiet down. She put her head on my shoulder, but was still telling me a story about her cat getting into the sleeping medicine, getting dizzy and wreaking havoc. I slowly started to doze off myself. But still, why did you hit Alyssa? She looked at me closely with a serious expression on her face. I always hated that bitch. Yeah, I felt that she was letting loose, so I'm increasing the volume of her voice too. Lena laughed loudly and nuzzled into my shoulder. Okay! She always hated that bitch, good to know. I desperately tried not to fall asleep. It's unknown what's awaiting there, after the bus's next turn. It might be a new life waiting for me, or it might be the end of this fairy tale. And I'll be buried in the coffin of the peeling walls and ceiling of my old apartment. That's interesting that he is... Okay, so he's aware of his previous life being a coffin and a prison cell, essentially. So he knows that and he wants to change. I've been saying that these girls are probably different aspects that he needs in order to get a real functioning life. Alyssa was become interesting, have a hobby, have something that's important for yourself. And Lena, here I believe, is speak clearly, because that was the one thing that always kept getting in the way for these two. That neither of them were speaking clearly. They were always hiding behind a mask, not showing people who they really are, that they can be loved for who they are. And now he's telling us that his old apartment is a coffin. It's a coffin. But it was a losing battle. Morpheus was summoning legions of monsters under the command of fatigue, exhaustion, desolation, and uncertainty. I had no chance to win the battle against these four horsemen of the apocalypse, and I drifted off to sleep. Day unknown. So, show us the good ending. Wake up. Consciousness slowly returned to me. It's like I'm falling from a cliff so high that clouds are drifting nearby. The ground is coming closer, but I'm not afraid that I'll die. My fall slows down and my body is smoothly immersed into the warm ether. Oh! What is this now then? Okay. Not the ending I was expecting. I opened my eyes. You slipped through your whole life like that. Lena looked at me seriously. What? We're there already? Okay. But it looks like we're on a park bench. Where's there? I looked around. A bench, the square, Genda. But how? I was on the bus going to the district center. Why are you looking at me as if you've seen a ghost? But why am I still here? For a second, I felt a terrible fear. Will I never get out of this place? We were on the bus, together. On the bus. Yesterday. Yesterday? Yes, yesterday, don't you remember? Lena started thinking. Yesterday. I don't remember anything like that. Maybe you just had a bad dream. Considering that all that has happened already seems like a hallucination, this must be a dream within a dream then. Well, let's take it slowly. I try to think logically. The session ended yesterday, all pioneers left, but we stayed. And then we took a bus and headed to the district center. Lena surely looked perplexed. Are you kidding me? I am not kidding anyone. Today is the last day. Oh, okay, wait. So, how much time have I spent here? Lena started to count off on her fingers. Looks like 7 days. Not 8. It's 7. Definitely 7. I gave an exhausted sigh and covered my face with my hands. Well, that's another riddle in the long list of this camp's mysteries. It certainly is. Well, okay. Though I have a feeling that we won't manage to leave today either. Why? Sixth sense. You're acting a bit strange today. Wait. Is this the park bench we were in the last episode? Right after she was playing badminton, I mean? I suppose I have my reasons. Want to tell me? I gazed at her attentively. I do. Sure, why not? When I had a real chance to break free from this camp, everything failed. So what do I have to lose now? Now, where do I start? Start from the beginning. Yes, of course. Well, I was born, I studied, married. Well, okay, I haven't gotten married yet. You still have time. Yes, but... Well, in a few words. Like, I'm not from this world. From the look she gave me, it was clear she didn't understand me at all. I came here accidentally, even I don't know how. So what does your world look like? Lena asked seriously. It's, well, it's virtually the same, but 20 years ahead of your world? Do you already have space flights? Well, if it comes to that, you have it as well. However, we haven't made any great achievements in that field yet. Sounds interesting. I was unable to tell if Lena was taking me seriously or was just pretending to do so. I used to live in a completely different place as well, far away to the north, judging from the landscape, in a big city. I've never been to the big cities. Maybe that's for the best. Will you show me your house? It seemed like she was taking this conversation as serious as I was. Well, I'm not sure it exists in this world. Oh, come on. Lena pouted. Well, sure, I will. So, how did you get here? One evening, I took a bus, Route 410, and woke up here. I don't know anything more than that. The 410 route. That's the one that stops just outside the camp. Yes, but my 410 travels in another place and time. Are you planning to return? Lena said, and I noticed a note of unhappiness in her voice. I have no idea how to. And if you knew? You're asking tough questions. What's wrong? Nothing, but... You see, I only just recently started to adjust to being here. The first hours in this camp were such a shock to me that... I don't know. It's okay. You still have time to think about it. Time to think. It seems that even if Lena believed me, she considered this whole situation just a typical inconvenience and nothing more. In a way, it's not up to me. Possibly even if I do want to stay. You see, the one who brought me here can take me back as well. Well, you know jack shit about that, to be honest. We know nothing about that. I believe that any event in a person's life has a reason. Therefore, you are here for some reason. Maybe. And if you haven't returned, you must be needed here. Well, I can't rule out that interpretation. Hey, time to pack your stuff. The camp leader's voice sounded from afar. Hear that? I don't have much to pack. But I do. So, meet you near the bus. Would you like me to help? Thanks, but there's no need. Lena smiled and ran off towards her cabin. I remained sitting on the bench, trying to cope with the shock. My thoughts were still in chaos, one theory replacing another. On one hand, me being unable to get out of this camp isn't all that odd compared to me finding myself here in the first place. But what now? What am I supposed to do? Is there any chance that I can leave the camp if I try again? Anyway, what's the point in being nervous? By now I know perfectly well that absolutely nothing is up to me. Maybe I just have to sit back and enjoy the ride. I couldn't help smiling. Especially now, when I have an additional reason not to be in a hurry to leave. And that reason is Lena. Maybe she is right and I'm here for some reason. In the end, even if I can narrow down the possible explanations for my situation to a reasonable minimum, it would still be 1001. And if I keep exhausting myself analyzing them, I'll just go mad. Maybe it's time I make a choice. Maybe this world is not so bad after all. Especially since for the first time in a long time I have something to live for. It's still a vague something, but I still have it. It exists. And now I have the power not to simply hold it, but to develop it into something bigger. With such thoughts, I stood up and started walking to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin in order to pack my humble belongings and leave the Soviet pioneer camp forever. Okay, so are we getting close to the end or not? Ah, here we go. One may think it's strange, and that's exactly how it seemed to me, but eventually we reached the district center. I eventually got tired in the bus and fell asleep. When I woke up, I ran up and down the aisle of the bus, gasping for air, but soon I realized that this long week is over. At last I managed to break free from the camp. All the time I spent there seemed like so much longer than 7 days, and now everything is over. Soon after that, the events moved with frightening speed. No time left for self-analysis or seeking answers. Moreover, from time to time I completely forgot about the camp. Like anyone who found themselves in a completely strange environment, I was completely lost. I had no papers, not even a simple birth certificate, no skills to earn a living. Professions such as computer specialist or call center operator were not in demand. Lena returned to her normal life. She had to graduate from school and get ready to enter university. The pioneer camp was in the south of the USSR, just as I had assumed. Lena lived in a town with a population of about 100,000. It was easy to get there by bus from the district center. There was nothing special about the town. One big factory, rows of 5-story houses, wooden huts on the outskirts, a grocery store that closed at 7 p.m. and a supermarket. A true Eden for a shopaholic, with choices including rubber winter shoes, women's sheepskin coats, and men's musquash hats? No idea what a musquash is. Before, I would already be trying to run away from a place like this, but now it was my home. Cases of starvation were rare in the 20th century Europe. I managed to find a job. I was employed as a turner's assistant in a factory and was also given a room in a hostel. Over time, this initially difficult and strange job started to bring a certain satisfaction. Partially, of course, that came from having the ability to buy food. Time passed and I climbed up the career ladder, becoming the head of a whole shift. My colleagues were amazed at my talent and persistence, and so was I. Lena graduated from school and I spent several nights with a calculator, designing diagrams of expenses and income, and at last made up my mind to propose to Lena. I don't remember now if it took a lot of time for her to think, if she suggested we sign a marriage contract or if she protested because of the lack of dowry, but in a short time both of us moved into a communal apartment room near the factory that cost 2/3 of my salary. Oh, that's nothing. Thanks to a free Soviet education for everyone, or maybe thanks to my wife's persistence, eventually I became a part-time student at the local Polytechnic University. At first I protested, saying that a fair proletarian had no need to act like the lousy intellectuals, but then I came to the conclusion that a diploma would make my life easier. Yeah, which is why I'm studying right now as well, honestly. It wasn't difficult to study thanks to my knowledge from my last attempt at receiving a higher education. Time passed and the country started to change. Of course, I knew what would happen, but still. Of course, I knew it would happen, but still. The changes came out of the blue. You could compare it to being caught in an avalanche in the mountains. You can prepare all you like, but it will still bury you anyway. The factory was privatized and then closed down. Oof. Kopeka is a Russian car, VAZ 2101, very cheap and old. Moonlighting as a private driver in the Kopeka, Rattletrap I inherited from my father-in-law was not really a profitable business. I was even ready to apply for a camp leader position in Soviet when Lena's distant relative died and left her as a one-room apartment somewhere in central Russia. Khrushchevka is a low-cost concrete panel 3 to 5 story building developed in USSR during the reign of Nikita Khrushchev. After that family council, we decided to move. We greeted in the early 90s in a cramped kitchen in Khrushchevka, watching Swan Lake. Thanks to random side jobs, I saved up some money and we decided to move to a bigger city. And of course, I chose my birthplace. We decided to sell that flat and use the money to invest into business. For some time we lived in luxury, buying mink fur coats and expensive foreign cars, dining in restaurants and taking trips to other countries. Okay, dining in restaurants and taking trips to other countries is one thing, but fur coats and expensive foreign cars, is that really necessary? You just, is that really what you guys want in life? Like many others during that time, I had the luck to somehow make it big, starting from the bottom. My business was construction material retail. It was a profitable market at the time because people made excessive money that they wanted to invest in luxurious homes. Maybe such a life could have gone on, but the 90s were called the rakish for a reason. After encountering rackets and corruption, I was left with an empty refrigerator, an empty wallet, and the bitter taste of blood in my mouth. That was the time I tried to recall my man from the future status. Betting places that were impossible in the Soviet era popped up all over and I rushed to gamble on everything I knew. However, I faced new disappointments, as matches were won by completely different teams. Even the 1994 World Cup champion was in Brazil. When I was just watching football on TV, everything went as it should. But when I spent the last of my money to make a bet, even underdogs began phenomenally beating favorites. As well as that, I tried to pursue the career of a political advisor. However, you don't get accepted into a high position like that without special connections, or anything that would make people interested. I don't know how long I would have gone through this torment, if not for an event which changed everything. Me and Lena had a child. In a hurry, I started to search for any possible way to earn enough to provide for my family. I remembered some of my father's old friends, and through them, pretending to be a distant relative of myself, I gained a place as a junior data analyst in a bank. At the same time, I made a new attempt to obtain my degree, or to be precise, to finish it. Time passed slowly. The money was just enough to fill our stomachs. I almost lived at work for days, trying to find some time for my exams. Lena stayed at home with the baby. That's when I started writing. This is what I was thinking about. This is the good ending. I remember it as if it was yesterday. I was just after midnight and I was sitting in the kitchen in front of my old worn out i386, wildly killing monsters in Doom 2. I wanted to sleep badly, but computer games at least slightly distracted me from the infinity of dull days. When I completed another level, I was suddenly immersed in thoughts about everything I had gone through during the last few years. It was all too much for one person. That's when I decided to write down everything that had happened to me. I launched a word processor and wrote down about 200 words, with a clear intent of continuing it tomorrow. However, I didn't remember it tomorrow, nor even a week later. About a month later, Lena, who was typing something on the computer, reminded me of my unfinished book. I reread and I deleted it, terrified. At the moment, I started to doubt if I could ever do it. After all, it was an entire epic novel, and I wasn't even able to string 2 sentences together. In addition, it's not easy to write about yourself. Creative work put on the back burner for now. I celebrated the arrival of the year 2000 as a certified specialist with department head duties. While moving to another apartment, I found my old i386 among the trash that was to be thrown away, and I remembered my intention of writing a book about my life. I laughed. How stupid. However, after some time I opened my laptop and made a sort of draft was a short story about a young man without a definite occupation or aspirations, who finds himself in a different planet. The style, orthography and punctuation, as well as the idea itself, were matched well to such a silly plot. I showed the story to my wife. She laughed but said it was well written and advised me to continue. About a year later, the drawer designated for holding my literary work was full. I found that very odd because I was spending entire days at work, sometimes even during holidays, and I tried to spend all my available free time with my family. However, that's what happened. Around that time I decided to publish my short stories. As with any other beginner's work, most of mine were rejected, but a couple of them were accepted, including my first work. I was over the moon. Of course, I was paid nothing, but my works will be read, meaning that someone will find them interesting. Time passed. We had a second baby now. During my spare time I slowly wrote a novel. No, not about my life or the pioneer camp. I decided not to touch upon those themes ever again. Everything that happened years ago seemed to be the will of God, whose charity should not be tempted. Who can tell what would have happened if I hadn't woken up in a bus near the Soviet camp gates? A year later the novel was completed. After I'd annoyed almost all unknown publishers, I managed to reach an agreement with a small company. The editor, an elderly man wearing a ragged tweed jacket and thick spectacles, which almost rubbed against his magnificent grey mustache, told me, "Your level is average, young man. Average, yes. But the idea itself is interesting. Interesting, yes. Well, you need more practice and, more reading. Yes." I remember these words for the rest of my life. I dispensed the copies that were sent to me as part of my royalty agreement among my friends and colleagues. Lena, who read my novels only after it was published, told me that she really liked it. Mostly out of a desire to not upset me, I guess. Desire to not upset me, that's awful. Just, is their marriage life a good life? Time passed. The calendar days were unstoppable approaching. That day when I was pulled out of my usual world and thrown into this life. Starting from the mysterious pioneer camp and now ending up here. Now I am a successful writer, at least according to the number of copies my books have sold. I have a wonderful wife and 2 children. My life has turned 180 degrees. Midnight tonight is the start of something new. Tomorrow is the day that I was waiting for so many years. Shit. He lived his life, huh? What are you thinking about? Oh, that was Lena's voice, supposedly. Yeah. This is the good ending. This is what I was looking forward for. I opened my eyes and saw Lena. She put a cup of tea on the table near an armchair. Firewood was gently crackling in the fireplace and a snowstorm was roaring outside. And the exit music is playing as well. I wrapped myself up in a plaid blanket and looked at Lena. Do you know what day it is? No. What day? Do you remember what I told you back there in the camp? No. No wonder. During all these years I'd never brought up the topic of my mysterious arrival in this world. Do you remember how I told you that I'm not from this world? Lena paused. Well, something like that, yes. So today is the day when, many years ago, I got on the 410 bus and woke up at that pioneer camp. So it's an anniversary? Lena smiled. Yes, sort of. Is it a sad celebration for you? No, not at all. And I remember almost nothing about that time. Maybe that's for the best. I added some firewood to the fire and I took the mug from the table. Maybe I'll write a novel. You will read it and remember. Do you think that's a good idea? Lena's expression became serious. Indeed, I once promised myself that I would never write about it. Maybe it's not. After all, everything that happened is just for us. That's exactly what I think. I sighed and looked at the fire. You know, life is like a candle. Someone's got a short one, someone got a long one, and it can burn out at any moment. And our life is like this fireplace. Yes, perhaps. I looked at her and smiled. I'll sleep for a while longer. Lena kissed me and fixed her gaze on the fire in a dreamy manner. My eyes closed and my whole reality compressed itself down to the crackling of the firewood. I started falling slowly, somewhere far away. No, it was not a dream, more like warm ether, gently enveloping my entire existence. Is this the end? Every stop has its beginning and its end. Every story has its own outline, synopsis, content, key points, a prologue and an epilogue. And there is no book which, if you read it again, would not reveal new details you didn't notice before. Every story has its beginning and its end. Almost every. And that is, I believe, nothing. There we go. Yes, this is the end of Lena's Good Path. God damn, that took over an hour to record. That is not what I was expecting. But yeah. So we get to see all the things going on here as well. But yeah, as I said, I will be getting that nude mod, because that looked hot and hideous. And obviously I need to censor it for you guys, but still. But yeah, that was Lena's good ending. And I don't know which Lena we ended up with, actually. Because the one on the bus that hated that bitch Alyssa is not the one we grew old with. Not really. But maybe that was just a, what do you call it? A free taste, a free sample of what life will serve us in the future. But yeah, I do believe that Lena represents open communication, showing people who you really are, because she was so many different things, and not until the very end did we get to know who she actually is. And that is apparently the girl that we love. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. And if you want to help me out, you can do so by clicking the link down in the description. And I will be seeing you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.